All right, y'all. Thank you again for joining me for another episode of Behind the Mic, powered by Revolt Podcast Network. I'm your host, Wise Brissett, RPN Community Manager, and of course, y'all know it, podcast enthusiast. You all can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, formerly known as X, at The Real Wise. That's WIZE. And I know y'all tired of hearing me saying it, but I got to say it every single time. Subscribe to Behind the Mic wherever you listen or watch podcasts. Have a 5-star rating, leave a review, hit that like button on YouTube, all the things. We're almost at 14,000 subscribers, and we really do want to continue to build our community. So thank you.
100%.
Now, enough about me. On today's episode, we have a guest who is a Revolt Podcast Network veteran, a true veteran like myself. We've been here for quite some time.
Sure.
Not only are they a veteran, but they're also a bona fide content creator, community champion, and host of the Progress Report.
Yes.
Welcome, Lala Shepherd,
Hey.
to Behind the Mic.
Thank you, Wes. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Of course.
Yes, thank you for coming. So, high level, because we're gonna talk for a bit.
Okay.
But high level, tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I am just a student of the game. I've been in love with music and journalism since I was a little kid. I never wanted to be an artist. I always wanted to be behind the scenes. Just always gravitated towards, just music. I just loved it. It just moved me. And originally being from Cincinnati, Ohio, I would just work with some of the local artists, rest in peace, Calico, talented rapper out of the city. But I would just work with them, when I was coming up in high school and then college, just stayed with it. I reached out to a few platforms like Yo Raps online, and I was writing for them. I was getting paid to do it. So, that really just encouraged me like, dang, man, I could really do this. I didn't know what capacity it would look like. But just moving forward, graduated college, took a chance on myself, relocated to Atlanta. And, God just told me I needed to be in Atlanta. And literally that first week, I'm working with the DJs. I'm in the strip clubs, just helping the DJs with their content, social media content. I'm seeing how much business is being happened at these strip clubs from, not just surface level, but it's a lot of just different tastemakers, artists in here. The girls are the A&Rs, so I'm just observing the game. And, eventually I started the Progress Report of unofficially 2014, officially 2016, because I just had so many dope relationships, working with producers like Dun Dill on the track. We doing a Rich Gang project with Young Thug, Rich Homie Quan, rest in peace. Sunny Digital, Zaytoven. I work with a lot of great people right away because I use Twitter to, network and meet these people before I moved down. So I had a plan. The plan never goes as perfect as you plan, but that's a little bit about me. That's how I started. And just fast forward now with the Progress Report. We are a media company based in Atlanta, Georgia. I would consider ourselves a staple. Even the radio programs and all the other major hip hop outlets in Atlanta, they definitely recognize the Progress Report as being for the culture, the people, and it's definitely a place that people have to tap into. Whether it's artists, producers, entrepreneurs, if you're in Atlanta, you got to tap in with the Progress Report. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that rundown. And for real though, honestly, like what it sounds like to me is that you've been moving with intention for a very long time.
Amen.
And this is a product of that intention.
Yeah, you hit it on the nail, Wes. Sure.
For sure. Okay, so before we dive too deep into the podcast, let's talk about some tunes real quick. I know you got a background in music. It's going to be easy for you. We got a playlist on Spotify called B-Side Track of the Week, where you can find all of our guests' favorite songs anytime. What B-Side track you want to share with us today?
Does it have to be like new artists, old, or what's...
Don't matter.
Just
don't matter.
Any type of track?
Your B-Side.
That's a tough question, man. I mean, it's a lot of dope artists. I'm going to go with my man, K Cash. I think he signed to Atlantic, but he got the song called Hot Boys that I like, and he's pronounced his name you spell it Kai and Cash, regular Cash, but it's a song called Hot Boys with a Z that I really, really dig. And yeah, man, I've run into a lot of great artists, so that was really a tough question because there's so many dope artists, so you got me with that one.
So you all can find that playlist exclusively on Spotify. Just search B-Sides Track of the Week. It's almost 2 hours of music on that playlist.
That's what's
So
up.
straight vibe. It's crazy.
I
Like,
like that.
we have interviewed over 30 people this season, and we're
Wow.
about to wrap up season 1. So imagine 30 people have given at least once. Some people gave
Yeah.
2 songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, tap in, tap in, tap in. So Lala, now we know a little bit about you in front of the mic. Now let's talk about the person behind the mic. So you say you moved down here from Cincinnati. Coming up, you're diving into music, you're being active in the music scene, you know, then you ended up coming down to Atlanta and getting active in that music scene as well too, right? So what was it that drove you? I know you have like an interest and passion behind music. What was it that drove you to keep going? You know, I know you to Atlanta is difficult. You know,
Man.
moving anywhere to Atlanta is terrible.
Nah, for
So yeah,
sure.
talk about that.
I mean, like I said, it was all God. You know what I mean? Like all I knew was school and just do what I'm supposed to do because I had great examples. Like, you know, my mom and dad, they did have me young, but my mom, she got her master's degree. I seen all of that. You know what I mean? When my dad was locked up, she was holding it down. And when my dad got out, you know, once we got back right in our relationship, he would always encourage me. Like, you know, school was just they made it was just school. That, you know what I mean? It was, I think, you know, just with our age group anyway, that's just what we was taught. Like, yeah, go to school, you know what I mean? So always did that, you know, school was cool. I was very social and whatnot. So school was easy for me. And if I didn't understand something, somebody would give me the answer. I'm not proud of that, but it's the truth. But I just knew, you know, I'm a finish school, I'm gonna graduate for myself, but my peoples. It was a community thing. So many of my family poured into me, and you know, all my aunts, everybody. I've always done the school thing, so I graduated on time, all that stuff. So it was routine. I mean, I really looked at it like I had to do this. But one thing about me, I always worked a full-time job when I was in college. Starting my freshman year, I went to St. John's, New York, and I worked at Dunkin' Donuts, the busiest one. Yeah, man. So, you know, I love New York. I love New York, man. New York.
Okay,
Really,
SJU, I see you.
yeah, man. New York really, that year working at Dunkin' Donuts taught me so much about people that I have to incorporate in my story all the time because I really encourage everybody, like, yo, man, get you a job where you have to learn people. And that job just taught me self-control, discipline, just opened my eyes. I was the only Black girl working among so many different races. You know, they judged me when I first came in, didn't think I was going to be as hard as working, but end up showing them like, oh, damn, she the truth. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm studying while I'm doing this. You know, for me, it's nothing because it's like, you know, I'm a hard worker. I was just always instilled on that. But, you know, just fast forward, I went to Xavier University my last 3 years in Cincinnati, Ohio, my hometown, which, you know, that was mentally challenging because I got acclimated to New York. I had friends there, so it was tough, man. And the only reason why I couldn't go back, I didn't get a scholarship that next year because I think I got a B plus instead of an A in one of my classes, which was crazy, right? But ended up being for the better. I had my car when I went back home, you know, just little stuff. So, you know, and I was still focused.
Yeah.
And, you know, it ended up working out. Still cool with a lot of my people I went to St. John's with. But just going to school my last 3 years, I just felt like I was going through the motions of that work. And, you know, I'm like, man, I was only 23. I'm like, yo, like, I just got to do something that's filling my, you know, it's just got to be like something more. So, man, I'm telling you, it was just guy. Like, I woke up one day, I told my best friend, like, yo, I got to move to Atlanta. Like, you know, I didn't know how the hell it was going to work wise. I didn't know what was going to happen. Mind you, I did hit up a lot of producers via Twitter, you know, done deals, Zaytoven, Sunny Digital, hit them all up, TM88, everybody like, yo, yeah, I need an assistant. Just however I can get my foot in the door. Some replied, some didn't. And just like I said, man, I remember that day. I graduated from college. All my peoples came up. It was a beautiful day. It was a Mother's Day, too, and I'll never forget it. Beautiful day. And I just felt like at that moment, I just did everything I needed to do for my people. So now it's time to do something for Lala. And, you know, God, he don't make no mistakes, man, because, you know, it was, I mean, just looking back at how fearless I was, it's like, what the fuck? This was 2013. I was 23 and just, you know, I didn't have no money for real. I had some stuff saved up, you know, like I said, working a full-time job, but Man, it's like,
Mm,
damn, just judging myself now, I would have been like, you are crazy. You about to do what? Like, but man, God made a way. And again, it wasn't easy. It still ain't easy. But he made a way in the sense of, my aunt, she has a house in Douglasville, and it took up so much courage for me to ask her to even stay with her, because that humbled me. I'm like, damn, I hate asking a motherfucker for help. Like, you know what I mean? But again, it's
mhm.
all God. And she said yes. She didn't have to say yes. You know what I'm saying? And just everything worked out. I gifted myself a new car because I knew my car at the time wasn't gonna make
Mhm.
it to Atlanta. And
Yeah.
it's just crazy just thinking back, like, damn, man, that journey of just even coming down here it took a while to build genuine community. I was lonely for the
Mhm.
longest, just really just grinding and just going back to my aunt house grinding, like, man, like it. Phew.
Mhm.
But again, it was God. Like, God told me I needed to be in Atlanta, and that's what I did. So yeah.
Yeah. I was watching it, saw this thing on Instagram
Mm,
where it basically was just like talking about like people and their journeys, like oftentimes like people see the finish line portion of the
mm,
journey. They see like the accolades, they see the success, they see
mm.
the visibility,
Right.
but they don't know that you had to drive an hour, hour and a half every day
Oh
to
man.
be involved, to
I ain't even mention
even
that, but you're right.
get to this point.
Man, every
Oh
night when
yeah, I know.
every night I'm driving, if I'm working with the DJs. I met DJ Funky in a coalition that first week. Like I said, it's all God. The fact that I'm meeting the people
Mhm.
that a lot of these people I'm still working with to this day, that's nothing but God. I mean, of course I
Mm.
run into bullshit, but not the way that you would think a young 23-year-old would. And you
Yeah.
know what I mean? God led me. And yeah, man. That's why I knew I needed a new car, because it was no way in hell my old car was gonna make it every night. I'm driving an hour from this side of Georgia, because Atlanta is bigger than Georgia, y'all, for people that watching.
Mhm.
Got this side of Georgia, and I'm driving to this town, to Strokers, that's the east, and ain't no telling where else I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was a grind. Still is a grind, but definitely there was a grind for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure, for sure. So, one more question before we go to our commercial break. What would you say is a moment that the first moment that comes to your mind
Mm.
where you realize that like not only did you make it, but people see that you're really who you say you are?
I mean, that's a great question. It'd be so many different moving pieces of that, because it's like, I mean, I've seen it in myself. You know what I'm saying? I definitely knew, it's like, damn, I didn't know how it was gonna happen, but I knew if I stayed consistent, just the type of people like the DJ Screams and Bigger Rankins and people that I truly looked up to, came up listening to, they embraced me right away. The energy, like, you know what I mean? And I'm, like I said, I'm a student of the game. So whenever I would first meet certain people, man, I think, I'm saying stuff to them that they probably like, damn, like, she really all her shit, and she, just coming different. And that's the thing. It's like I don't know. It's just crazy. But I will say a moment where I feel like, made it and people recognize that we made it is just like, people recognizing the other members of the Progress Support and other parts of the Progress Support. Like, just people just,
Mhm.
respecting the brand and really just treating it like a real brand, man. And it happens in so many different ways, from just people might be like, you the one girl do that one podcast, or just getting that validation from people in the industry that I look up to, and just even artists, agree to do interviews and just certain stuff and actually show up, and just certain stuff like that. So it happens in so many just different moments. But I would say most importantly, just, man, just being able to put other people in position has always been, dope. So I would say that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. Yeah.
No, I feel that. I definitely feel that. On the other side of this break, we're kicking it into overdrive with a rapid fire game right after this. And we're back, y'all. Thanks for sticking around. Now we're kicking it into overdrive with the rapid fire round of overrated or underrated.
Mm.
Now, Lala, are you ready?
I think so. I'm nervous, but I'm ready.
All right. So starting in 3, 2, one. Overrated or underrated? The blog era hip hop.
Underrated.
Atlanta rap right now.
Oh man. Shit, Wise. Move on to the next question.
Media training for artists.
Oh, underrated, man. Underrated.
Women rap collectives.
Underrated. We need more.
Underrated. Okay, we're done.
You got me with the Atlanta question, man. Listen, I will say this. There's a lot of dope artists. One thing when we think Atlanta is simmering down, and unfortunately we lost a lot of people to death too. So RIP a lot of people. So a lot of people that we lost, unfortunately, that's why I would feel like I'll say the feel of it doesn't seem the same. However, we got the Wham Whammy girl, we got the Belly Gang Kush dude. It's every day I'm just impressed by the city at the type of just the people that is, producing, man. And it's like, I don't think it'll ever stop. It might be a different sound, but one thing about Atlanta, man, they gonna keep it coming. It's too much sauce, man. Too much sauce here.
Yeah. For sure. Okay, so before we end this episode, what's one thing that you want people to know about you that they wouldn't get from listening to the Progress Report?
I'm huge into sports. I think that's really the big one. Like, I can talk fluently in a room full of sports commentators. And I'm not just talking about the guys, the girls too. I love it too. I love it all. I love softball, baseball, basketball, NBA, UFC, boxing. So I think that's one thing. Unless you really know me, all my friends know I love sports, and I get on their nerves about it because I'm like, you ain't watch that WNBA game? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
A lot of people don't know that I love me some sports. Yeah.
Listen, so what that means is when I drive down from Charlotte to Atlanta, we going to a dream game.
Come on,
I need to see Ryan Howard and Brittany Griner. I need to see that.
Me
together
too. I need to see it in person myself, man. I'm so excited just for female sports. Like it's phenomenal, man. So yeah, that's one thing for sure. And even with myself, I'm trying to see if I can make time for it, but we might do I'm probably gonna do like a segment just about sports. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to get there. I just gotta make the time to do it. But I really feel that passionate about it where it would be equally important to me as, the music and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
Not for sure. Okay. So, yep. Yes, sir. Okay.
So before we leave, please let the audience know where they can find you on socials and can stay tapped into what's going on in your day-to-day.
Absolutely. Well, our social media platform is Lala Shep. That's LALAASHEP. All social media platform, TikTok, IG, Threads, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. Then, of course, the Progress Report 101 on Instagram. TPR Media Group is our website. But yeah, you can find me and I'll definitely reply back as long as you ain't talking crazy.
All right. Well, Lala, thank you so much again for joining us on the episode. And audience, thank you for listening to another episode of Behind the Mic, powered by Revolt Podcast Network. I'm your host, Wise Brazette. You all can find me at The Real Wise, WIZE on Instagram and Twitter, formerly known as X. I'm internationally known on the microphone as Wiz, Wizzy, and Wise, and I will catch you on the next episode. Behind the Mic, powered by Revolt Podcast Network, is hosted by me, Wise Grisette. Special thanks to the Indie Creative Network and Storytime Studios for editing and producing this podcast.